Captain Marcus stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, watching the stars through the main screen. The ship was huge, almost 2 kilometers long, and carried the best weapons the Deathworld Alliance could build. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. These were not ordinary people. They came from the hardest worlds in the galaxy. Lieutenant Amy came from Earth's toxic wastelands. Her skin was pale, from years of living underground, but her eyes were sharp. She could spot danger faster than any computer. Beside her, Chief Engineer Ben worked on the scanner readings. He grew up on a world where acid rain fell every day. His hands were scarred, but they could fix anything. "Captain," Amy said, looking up from her station, "I'm getting something strange on long-range sensors." Marcus walked over to her console. The screen showed empty space, but there was a small dot that didn't belong. It was too big to be a ship, too small to be a planet. "How far?" Marcus asked. 3 light-years out, sir. It just appeared. That was impossible. Nothing could just appear in space. Marcus had been fighting for the Alliance for 20 years. He had seen many strange things, but this was different. "Ben, can you get a better reading?" The engineer's fingers flew over his controls. His face went pale. "Sir, this thing is massive. 3 kilometers long. Maybe more. It's not showing up on any of our databases." Marcus felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Alliance had records of every known ship design in the galaxy. If their computers couldn't identify it, that meant trouble. "Set course for the contact, but keep our distance. I want to know what we're dealing with." The Iron Resolve turned toward the unknown object. As they got closer, more details appeared on the screens. The thing was dark, so dark it seemed to eat the light around it. Its hull was smooth like black glass, with no windows or markings. "Sir," Amy said, her voice tight. "It's moving, heading for the Outer Rim colonies." Marcus grabbed the communications console. "This is Captain Marcus. To all Alliance ships in Sector 7, we have an unknown contact. All units maintain safe distance and observe." 3 other ships appeared on the scanner: the Burning Sky, Stonehammer, and Deep Strike. Each one carried crews from different Deathworlds. The Burning Sky was crewed by the Korax, a race of people with crystal-like skin, from a world of endless earthquakes. The Stonehammer belonged to the Vorth, who lived on a planet where the gravity was 3 times normal. The Deep Strike was human, like the Iron Resolve. "This is Captain Ryan of the Deep Strike," came a voice over the radio. "Marcus, what are we looking at?" "Unknown ship 3 kilometers long. No match in our databases. It's heading for the colonies. Should we try to make contact?" Marcus thought about it. The Alliance had rules about first contact with new species, but something about this ship made him nervous. It was too quiet, too dark. "Send a standard greeting signal, but keep your weapons ready." The radio operator sent out the Alliance's universal greeting, a series of mathematical patterns that any intelligent species should recognize. They waited. Nothing. "Try again," Marcus ordered. Still nothing. Then the dark ship did something that made everyone on the bridge step back. It stopped moving. For a few seconds, it just hung in space like a dead thing. Then it turned smoothly, silently until it was pointing right at them. "Sir," Ben said, his voice shaking, "it's scanning us. But I've never seen scanner beams like this before." The screen showed strange energy patterns flowing from the dark ship. They weren't like normal scanners. These beams seemed to pass right through their shields like they weren't there. "All ships, back away now," Marcus shouted into the radio. But it was too late. The dark ship fired. The weapon wasn't like anything Marcus had ever seen. It didn't shoot lasers or missiles. Instead, a wave of blackness spread out from its front. Where the wave touched empty space, the space itself seemed to disappear. The stone hammer was caught in the edge of the wave. The ship simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment there was nothing. Not even wreckage. "What the hell was that?" Ryan screamed over the radio. Marcus didn't answer. He was too busy trying to understand what he had just seen. Ships could be destroyed. They could explode or break apart. But they couldn't just stop existing. All ships. "Emergency jump. Get us out of here." The 3 remaining ships activated their jump drives and disappeared into hyperspace behind them. The dark ship continued toward the colonies. 2 hours later, they met at the emergency gathering point. The three captains appeared on Marcus's main screen, their faces grim. "Report," Marcus said. Captain Ryan spoke first. "We lost contact with Colony 7 15 minutes ago. Last transmission said something about the sky turning black." Captain Vera of the Burning Sky added, "My people are saying this thing isn't natural. The energy readings are all wrong. It's like it's made of something that shouldn't exist." Marcus nodded. The Kororax had senses that humans didn't have. If they said something was wrong, it was very wrong. "We need to warn the Alliance Council," Marcus said. "This isn't just a new ship. This is something else." They sent out emergency signals to every Alliance world. Within hours, reports started coming in. The dark ship, which the computers had labeled the Harvester, was moving from system to system. Every place it visited went silent. Admiral Kane's face appeared on the communication screen. He was old, with scars covering his arms from his years on Earth's poison worlds. His eyes were hard. "Marcus, I need a full report. How many ships are we dealing with?" "Just one, sir. But it's like nothing we've ever seen. It can make things stop existing." The stone hammer just disappeared. Kane was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sending you all the data we have." "It's not good." The files appeared on Marcus's screen. Colony 7 gone. Colony 12 silent. Outpost Red Rock. No response. In just 6 hours, the Harvester had wiped out 3 entire settlements. "Sir," Marcus said, "what are your orders?" "Find out what this thing is and how to stop it. The Alliance Council is meeting an emergency session. Every world is scared. If we can't stop this ship, it could destroy everything we've built." The communication ended. Marcus looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for orders. These people had survived the worst worlds in the galaxy. They had faced radiation storms, acid rain, and crushing gravity. But now they faced something that could erase them from existence. "Amy, I want you to analyze every piece of data we have on the Harvester. Ben, check our weapons. See if anything we have might work against that black wave." "Sir," Amy said quietly, "what if nothing works? What if we can't stop it?" Marcus thought about all the people living on Alliance worlds. Humans, Kororax, Vor, and dozens of other species. They had all found homes among the stars. After surviving the hardest planets in the galaxy, they had built something good together. "Then we find another way," he said. "We always do. That's what makes us different from everyone else in the galaxy. We don't give up." But even as he said it, Marcus felt a chill. The Harvester wasn't just a ship. It was something ancient and hungry, and it was coming for all of them. Outside the bridge windows, the stars looked different now. They seemed smaller, more fragile. Somewhere out there, the Harvester was moving through space, turning worlds into nothing. The Alliance had fought pirates and hostile aliens before, but they had never faced anything that could simply erase their existence. The war for the galaxy's survival had begun, and the Deathworld Alliance was the only thing standing between the Harvester and the destruction of everything they loved. Marcus looked at his crew one more time. They were scared, but they were ready. That's what people from Deathworlds did. They faced the impossible and found a way to survive. "All right, people," he said, "let's figure out how to kill something that shouldn't exist." The hunt for answers had begun. The Alliance Council room was full of scared voices. Leaders from 50 different worlds sat around the huge table, all talking at once. Admiral Ka stood at the front, his old face grim. On the big screen behind him, a map showed the galaxy. Red dots marked where the Harvester had been. There were too many red dots. 17 colonies, Kane said, his voice cutting through the noise. Gone in 3 days. Not destroyed. Gone like they never existed. Commander Lisa stood up. She was young for a commander, but her mind was sharp. She came from Europa, where the ice storms could freeze a person solid in seconds. The cold had made her think fast and clear. "Sir, I've been studying the attack patterns," she said. "The Harvester isn't random. It's learning. Each attack is more efficient than the last." She pressed a button and the screen changed. It showed the Harvester's path through space. First, it took 6 hours to destroy Colony 7. By the time it hit Colony 12, it only took 2 hours. At Red Rock Outpost, 30 minutes. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. "It's getting smarter," said Captain Tom from his seat. Tom was a legend in the Alliance. He had survived the acid mines of Kepler 442b for 15 years. His skin was tough like leather, and his eyes could see in almost no light. The question is, what do we do about it? Admiral Kane walked to the window. Outside, they could see Earth's moon. It looked small and fragile. There is something, Kane said slowly, something we swore we would never do. He turned back to face the room. The sleepers. The room exploded with voices again. Everyone knew about the sleepers. 50 years ago, Alliance explorers had found them on a dead world at the edge of the galaxy. Ancient aliens and crystal pods sleeping for millions of years. Their technology was amazing, far beyond anything the Alliance had. But their guardian machines had made it clear. Wake them up and face the consequences. You can't be serious, said Captain Nina from the 4th delegation. She was built thick and strong from her high-gravity world. The Guardians warned us. They said waking the sleepers could destroy us all. And if we don't wake them, the Harvester will destroy us anyway, Kane replied. Lisa stood up again. Sir, what if the sleepers are hostile? What if they're worse than the Harvester? Then we're dead either way, Kane said simply. At least this gives us a chance. Captain Tom raised his hand. I'll go. If someone has to wake them up, it should be me. Tom, you don't understand what you're volunteering for, Na said. That world is cursed. No one who goes there comes back the same. Tom smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. I've been to cursed worlds before. They made me stronger. While the council argued, the Harvester was moving closer to the core worlds. It had learned to move faster, to strike harder. Each colony it consumed made it bigger and more dangerous. Engineer Maya worked alone in her lab on the Iron Resolve. She had pieces of wreckage from the destroyed Alliance ships, tiny fragments that had somehow survived the Harvester's weapon. Maya came from Titan, where the methane storms could melt metal. Her fingers were steady, and her mind was used to working with dangerous things. She held up a small piece of twisted metal. Under her microscope, she could see something impossible. The metal wasn't just broken, it was torn, like reality itself had been ripped apart. Computer, analyze this pattern, she said. The computer's voice was calm. Analysis complete. The molecular structure shows signs of dimensional distortion. This material has been exposed to forces that operate outside normal spacetime. Maya's eyes went wide. Dimensional distortion? You mean the Harvester's weapon doesn't just destroy things, it tears holes in reality? Correct. The weapon appears to create microscopic rifts in the fabric of spacetime. Mia leaned back in her chair. If the Harvester was tearing holes in reality, then maybe those holes were its weakness. But exploiting them would need technology that didn't exist. On the bridge, Captain Marcus watched the tactical display. The Harvester was only 2 days away from Earth. The Alliance fleet was gathering at Neptune, but Marcus knew it wouldn't be enough. They had lost 8 more ships trying to slow the Harvester down. Each attack only made it stronger. Captain, Amy said from her station. Long-range scanners are showing something new. Marcus walked over to look. The screen showed the Harvester, but now it was different. It was bigger than before, and strange growths covered its hull. It's using the materials from the destroyed colonies. Amy said it's building itself into something new. Before Marcus could respond, alarms started blaring. The communication system crackled to life. All ships. This is Admiral Kane. The Harvester has changed course. It's heading directly for Earth. All available vessels report to the Neptune defense grid immediately. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Earth was home to billions of people. If the Harvester reached it, Amy set course for Neptune. Maximum speed. Yes, sir. As the Iron Resolve jumped to hyperspace, Marcus thought about the impossible choice they faced. Wake up ancient aliens who might destroy them, or let the Harvester consume everything they loved. Meanwhile, Captain Tom was already on his way to the sleeper world. His ship, the Dark Runner, was small and fast. It was built for sneaking past enemies, not fighting them. Tom preferred it that way. He had learned long ago that sometimes the best way to win was to not fight at all. The sleeper world appeared on his screen. It was gray and lifeless, covered in strange crystal formations. In the center of the largest crystal fields sat a massive building, the Sleeper Tomb. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like something from a dream. As Tom's ship got closer, the Guardian machines activated. They were tall and thin, made of the same crystal as the building. Their voices spoke directly into Tom's mind. Warning, you approach the eternal rest. Turn back, small one. The sleepers must not wake. Tom opened his communication channel. I need to talk to them. My people are dying. We know of the Devourer's return. We fled them once. We will not face them again. Devourers? Tom asked. You know what the Harvester is? The Guardians were quiet for a long moment. Then one of them spoke again, and its voice was full of old sadness. They are the eaters of worlds, the enders of life. We fought them across the galaxy long ago. In the end, we could only run and hide. Tom felt a chill. If these ancient beings had run from the Harvester's kind, what chance did the Alliance have? Please, Tom said, just let me talk to one of them. Maybe together we can find a way to stop it. You do not understand, small one. To wake them means accepting that your civilization may not survive what follows, but neither will the Devourers. Tom thought about Earth, about all the Alliance worlds full of people who just wanted to live in peace. Then he thought about the Harvester growing stronger with each world it consumed. I understand the risk, Tom said, but if we do nothing, we're all dead anyway. At least this way. We have a chance. The Guardians talked among themselves in voices. Tom couldn't hear. Finally, one of them moved aside. Enter then, Tom of the Alliance. But know that you carry the fate of many worlds in your hands. Tom landed his ship near the crystal building. As he walked toward the entrance, he could feel the weight of millions of years pressing down on him. Inside the building, rows of crystal pods stretched as far as he could see. In each pod was a figure, tall, graceful, and completely still. At the center of the room was a larger pod. The figure inside was different from the others. It looked older, more worn. A screen next to the iPod showed strange symbols. Tom pressed his hand against the screen. Immediately, words appeared in Alliance common language. I am Keeper Voss of the Eternal Watch. If you wake me, know that the war you begin will span the galaxy. The Devourers cannot be reasoned with. They can only be stopped. Tom looked at the sleeping figure. This being had fought the Harvester's kind before. It might be their only hope. At Neptune, the Alliance fleet was taking position. 200 ships from every member world filled space around the defense platforms. But everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The Harvester had already proven it could destroy anything they threw at it. Maya had been working non-stop trying to find a weakness in the Harvester's reality-tearing weapon. She had a theory, but testing it would be dangerous. Captain Marcus, she called over the communication system. I think I know how the Harvester's weapon works, but you're not going to like what we need to do to stop it. On the sleeper world, Tom made his choice. He pressed the activation button on Keeper Voss's pod. Light filled the crystal chamber as ancient systems came to life. The pod opened with a sound like breaking glass. Keeper Voss sat up slowly, his eyes opening for the first time in millions of years. When he looked at Tom, his expression was sad but not surprised. So, Voss said in a voice like distant thunder, they have found you too. The desperate alliance between the living and the ancient was about to begin. But as the Harvester approached, Neptune, everyone wondered if it would be enough to save them all. Keeper Voss stood slowly in the crystal chamber, his tall frame casting long shadows. Tom watched as the ancient being stretched muscles that had been still for millions of years. Voss's skin was pale blue, almost translucent, and his eyes glowed with a soft silver light. How long? Voss asked, his voice echoing in the chamber. We don't know exactly, Tom replied. Our scientists think maybe 3 million years. Voss nodded sadly. Then they have had time to grow strong again. Tell me, small one, how many of the Devourers have you seen? Just one ship, but it's huge, 3 kilometers long. It's been destroying our colonies. Voss's glowing eyes went wide. One ship? Just one? He began to laugh, but it was not a happy sound. You wake me for one ship? There are thousands of them. Tens of thousands. What you call the Harvester is merely a scout. Tom felt cold fear run through his body. A scout? You mean there are more coming? They send scouts ahead to test new prey. If the scout succeeds, the main fleet follows. Voss walked to a crystal wall and touched it. The wall became transparent, showing the stars outside. They are already coming. I can feel them in the dark between galaxies. At Neptune, the Alliance fleet waited in battle formation. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Thunder of Earth. Around him, officers from every Deathworld in the Alliance prepared for what might be their final battle. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Dave, "the Harvester is 2 hours out. It's moving faster than before." Kane nodded grimly. Dave was from Mars, where the dust storms could strip flesh from bone. His red-tinged skin and sharp reflexes had saved many ships in past battles. "All ships, prepare for engagement," Kane ordered. "Remember, we're not trying to win. We're buying time." On the Iron Resolve, Maya had been working around the clock. She had figured out how the Harvester's reality-tearing weapon worked, but the solution was dangerous, maybe impossible. "Captain Marcus," she called over the comm, "I need to talk to you right now." Marcus found Maya in her lab, surrounded by pieces of destroyed Alliance ships. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but they burned with determination. "I know how to hurt the Harvester," she said, "but it's going to sound crazy. Tell me." Maya held up a fragment of metal, twisted into an impossible shape. "The Harvester's weapon doesn't just destroy matter. It creates tiny holes in reality itself. These holes are like wounds in space-time." Marcus studied the fragment. "And that helps us how?" "Because wounds can be infected," Maya said with a grim smile. "If we can get the right kind of energy into those holes, we might be able to make them bigger. Big enough to tear the Harvester apart from the inside." "What kind of energy?" "Quantum resonance, but not the kind our technology can produce. We need something older, something that operates on a different level." Before Marcus could ask what she meant, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The Harvester had arrived. On the main screen, they could see it clearly now. The dark ship had grown even larger, its hull covered with twisted metal from the colonies it had consumed. Strange lights pulsed along its sides like veins of poison. "All ships attack Pattern Alpha," Admiral Kane ordered. "Focus fire on the forward sections." The Alliance fleet opened fire. Lasers, missiles, and plasma cannons lit up space around the Harvester. For a moment, it looked like they might actually hurt it. Then the Harvester fired back. The reality-tearing waves spread out from its front like a black tide. Where it touched the Alliance ships, they simply ceased to exist. The Morning Star disappeared. First, then the Iron Fist, then 3 more ships in seconds. "All ships scatter," Kane shouted. "Don't let it catch you in groups." Back on the sleeper world, Tom was learning things he wished he didn't know. Voss had shown him holographic records of the ancient war. The images were terrible. Entire star systems being consumed, billions of lives ending in seconds. "The Devourers were not always machines," Voss explained. "Long ago, they were a living species like yours. But they became obsessed with perfection, with efficiency. They replaced their bodies with machines, their minds with computers. In the end, they forgot what it meant to be alive." "But you fought them before," Tom said. "You must have found a way to stop them." Voss shook his head. "We did not stop them. We ran. We hid in the deepest corners of the galaxy and hoped they would not find us. But they always find their prey eventually. There has to be something," Tom insisted. "Some weakness." Voss was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "There was one thing. The Devourer's greatest strength was also their weakness. They could not understand biological life. They saw it as inefficient, chaotic. They could not predict how living beings would react under pressure. So what does that mean for us? It means your alliance might have a chance. You come from Deathworlds, planets that should have killed you. You learn to survive in conditions that would destroy most life. That adaptability, that chaos, is something the Devourers cannot compute." Voss walked to another crystal wall and pressed his hand against it. The wall showed a new scene. Ancient ships unlike anything Tom had ever seen. "But you will need our technology to have any hope," Voss continued. "Our ships can merge with biological consciousness. They become extensions of the pilot's mind and body. But the process requires something your people may not have." "What?" "Neuroplasticity. The ability to expand your consciousness beyond your physical form. Only those who have survived extreme conditions develop this ability." Tom felt a spark of hope. Deathworld survivors. That's what makes us different. Yes, But the merging process is dangerous. Many who attempt it do not survive. Their minds cannot handle the expansion. At Neptune, the battle was going badly. The Alliance had lost 30 ships in the first, where the Harvester seemed to learn from every attack, adapting its defenses and making its weapons more deadly. Captain Marcus watched as the Stonebreaker tried to ram the Harvester. The ship's captain, a woman named Carol from Europa's ice fields, had decided to sacrifice herself to buy time for others to escape. Her ship hit the Harvester's hull, and nothing. The dark ship absorbed the impact like it was nothing more than a gentle breeze. "This isn't working," Marcus said. "We need those ancient weapons." "Sir," Amy reported, "I'm getting a transmission from Captain Tom. He's found something." Tom's voice crackled over the comm. "Marcus, I need you to listen carefully. The Sleepers have technology that can fight the Harvester, but it requires a biological component. People from Deathworlds can use it, but it's dangerous." "How dangerous?" "It could kill you. Or worse, it could trap your consciousness in the ship forever. But it's the only way." Marcus looked around his bridge. His crew was waiting for orders. These people had survived the worst worlds in the galaxy. They had faced radiation, acid, crushing gravity, and worse. They were ready to face anything. "What do we need to do?" "Voss is sending you the coordinates. There's an ancient ship buried on Pluto. It's been waiting for 3 million years. Within an hour, a small team had reached Pluto. The ancient ship was beautiful and terrifying, a sleek vessel that seemed to be made of living metal. When they approached it, the ship began to glow. Pilot Jake volunteered to be the first to try. Jake was from Kepler 438b, a world where the radiation was so intense that only underground dwellers survived. His mind was already adapted to handling extreme conditions. "I'm going in," Jake said as he approached the ship's interface. The moment Jake touched the control surface, everything changed. His consciousness exploded outward, expanding beyond his body and into the ship itself. He could feel every molecule of the vessel, every energy flow, every quantum fluctuation. It was like becoming a god and going insane at the same time. But Jake held on. His Deathworld training had taught him to endure pain, to push through when everything told him to quit. Slowly, he gained control. The ancient ship lifted off from Pluto's surface, its movements smooth and fluid. Jake could feel its weapon systems coming online, weapons that operated on principles the Alliance had never imagined. "This is Jake," he said, his voice different now, layered with harmonics that hadn't been there before. "I'm okay. The ship is part of me now. I can feel its power." But as Jake flew toward Neptune, the Harvester deployed something new. Strange energy fields began spreading from its hull. Not the reality-tearing weapon, but something worse. The fields attacked the minds of anyone who got too close. 3 Alliance ships flew into the field and their crews began screaming. The all-pilots started firing on their own ships, their minds corrupted by whatever the Harvester was broadcasting. "It's learning," Marcus realized with horror. "It's adapting to fight biological minds." Maya's voice came over the comm. "Captain, I think I know what we need to do, but it's going to require every Deathworld species in the Alliance to work together, and we'll need those ancient ships." "Explain." "The Harvester's weakness isn't just its reality tiers, it's that it can't understand biological chaos. But if we can create a network of biological consciousness, all linked together through the ancient technology, we might be able to overwhelm its ability to adapt." Marcus understood a mental attack. Use our biological nature as a weapon. Exactly. But everyone who links into the network will be risking their minds. If we fail, we don't just die, we become part of the Harvester. As Jake's ancient ship engaged the Harvester for the first time, energy weapons unlike anything in the galaxy lit up space around Neptune. The battle between ancient technology and biological determination was about to begin. But in the darkness, between galaxies, something else was stirring. Long-range sensors detected massive shapes moving toward their galaxy. The main Devourer fleet had sensed their scouts struggle. Time was running out for the Alliance. They had to defeat the Harvester before its reinforcements arrived. The fate of every living thing in the galaxy hung in the balance. Jake's ancient ship moved through space like a living thing. The vessel's hull rippled with energy patterns that hurt to look at directly. Inside the ship, Jake felt more alive than ever before, but also terrifyingly different. He could sense every molecule around him, feel the gravity waves from distant stars, taste the radiation bleeding from the harvester's hull. "Jake, report." Marcus's voice came through the calm, but it sounded strange now, flat and simple, compared to the symphony of information flowing through Jake's expanded consciousness. I'm still me," Jake said, though he wasn't completely sure that was true. "The ship's weapons are unlike anything we've ever seen. They don't just destroy matter, they rewrite the laws of physics in small areas." He fired a test shot at an asteroid. The rock didn't explode or melt. Instead, it simply forgot how to exist as a solid and became a cloud of disconnected atoms. "My God," whispered Maya over the comm. "That's how we can fight the harvester's reality tears. We need to make it forget how to tear reality." But before Jake could respond, the harvester noticed him. The massive ship turned with fluid grace, its hull opening to reveal weapons that looked like mechanical flowers made of black metal. When they fired, space itself screamed. Jake threw his ship sideways, feeling the reality-tearing beam pass close enough to make his extended consciousness ache. But something was different this time. The beam felt confused, like it couldn't quite lock onto his ship. The ancient technology. Jake realized it operates outside normal physics. "The harvester can't predict where I'll be, because I'm not completely in normal space-time anymore." On Pluto, more volunteers were stepping forward to merge with ancient ships. Captain Nina from the 4th delegation was next. Her thick, muscled body was built for high gravity, and her mind was used to processing multiple gravitational fields at once. "I've lived my whole life feeling the weight of 3 worlds," she said, as she approached the second ship. "I can handle this." The merging process was different for Na. Where Jake had struggled with the expansion of consciousness, Nina simply accepted it. Her mind was already used to existing in multiple states at once. The ancient ship responded to her like it had been waiting for her specifically. Soon, 3 more ancient ships lifted off from hidden locations throughout the solar system. Commander Lisa merged with a ship designed for tactical analysis. Her cold-drained mind could process the vast streams of data without being overwhelmed. Engineer Ben took control of a repair ship that could rebuild itself in the middle of battle. Pilot Sam from the methane swamps of Titan bonded with a stealth vessel that could phase in and out of normal space. Each merging was different, shaped by the unique adaptations their Deathworlds had forced upon them. The radiation-hardened crew members could handle the quantum flux. Those from high-pressure worlds could withstand the consciousness compression. The acid world survivors adapted to the ship's caustic energy flows. But the harvester was learning too. As the ancient ships engaged it in battle, the dark vessel began to change. Its hull sprouted new weapons, stranger than the reality tears. One beam turned Na's ship temporarily inside out. Another made Lisa's vessel exist in 7 dimensions at once. The harvester was adapting to fight enemies that operated outside normal physics. It's using the quantum consciousness of the people it absorbed, Maya realized as she watched the battle from the iron resolve. Every species it destroyed, every mind it consumed. It's using their creativity against us. The revelation was terrifying. The harvester wasn't just a machine. It was a collective consciousness, made from the dying thoughts of countless civilizations. Every world it destroyed made it more creative, more unpredictable. Admiral Kane's voice crackled over the fleet comm. "All ships execute Operation Ragnarok. We're going to give them everything we've got." Operation Ragnarok was the Alliance's final desperate plan. Every ship would attack at once, using their unique Deathworld adaptations to create maximum chaos. The radiation-hardened ships would fly directly through the harvester's energy fields. The high-gravity crews would perform maneuvers that would kill normal pilots. The toxic world engineers would overload their reactors to create weapons that shouldn't exist. Captain Marcus led the charge in the Iron Resolve. Behind him flew ships from 50 different Deathworlds, each one a testament to life's refusal to surrender to impossible conditions. "For every world that taught us to survive," Marcus shouted into the comm. The Alliance fleet hit the harvester like a tsunami of controlled chaos. The dark ship's defensive systems, designed to counter logical military tactics, couldn't cope with the wild unpredictability of Deathworld combat doctrine. The burning sky, crewed by Kororaks with crystal-hard reflexes, flew a pattern that looked like random tumbling, but was actually a complex mathematical spiral. The Deep Strike used its Earth-trained crew's knowledge of industrial accidents to turn its damaged reactor into a directed plasma cutter. The stone hammer rammed the Harvester's hull, while its Vorth crew used their natural high-gravity strength to manually fire weapons at point-blank range. For the first time since the battle began, the Harvester seemed confused. Its hull flickered with uncertain energy patterns as it tried to process the sheer biological chaos attacking it. Jake pressed his advantage, diving his ancient ship deep into the Harvester's defensive grid. His expanded consciousness could feel the pain radiating from the dark vessel. Not physical pain, but something deeper, the anguish of trapped minds. "There's something inside," he reported. "Millions of consciousness patterns. They're still alive in there, still aware. The Harvester isn't just destroying civilizations. It's keeping them as prisoners." Commander Nova, leading a stealth team in modified escape pods, heard Jake's report. She was from Europa, where the survival rate was 1 in 1,000. Her team was made up of the absolute best people who had survived things that killed everyone else. "We're going in," Nova said. "If there are prisoners, maybe we can free them." Her team's pods were coated with stealth technology, reverse-engineered from ancient ship fragments. They slipped through the Harvester's defenses, like ghosts riding the chaos of the main battle. Inside the Harvester, Nova's team found horrors beyond imagination. The ship's interior was a maze of organic-looking corridors, filled with floating spheres of light. Each sphere contained the consciousness of an entire species, billions of atoms minds, trapped in quantum suspension, their thoughts and memories being used as processing power for the Harvester's intelligence. "This is sick," muttered Alex, Nova's engineer. Alex came from Titan's methane refineries, where workers regularly dealt with gases that could dissolve human flesh. But even he was disturbed by what they found. At the center of the Harvester, they discovered the core processor, a massive chamber where the trapped consciousness patterns swirled in an endless dance of digital torment. The minds weren't just providing processing power. They were being forced to experience their own destruction over and over again, their anguish feeding the Harvester's hunger. "We need to get Maya down here," Nova said into her comm. "If anyone can figure out how to reverse this process, it's her." Maya studied Nova's transmitted readings from her lab on the Iron Resolve. The quantum patterns were incredibly complex, but she began to see how they worked. The Harvester was using the trapped minds as a biological computer, their creativity and adaptability giving it the ability to learn and grow. "I think I can reverse the process," Maya said, "but it would require every Deathworld species to interface with the ancient technology simultaneously. We'd need to create a biological network strong enough to overpower the Harvester's consciousness matrix." Marcus understood what she was asking. A mental battle. Every Deathworld survivor linking their mind to the ancient ships fighting the Harvester and consciousness space. Exactly. But if we fail, if the Harvester overpowers our network, every mind connected to it will be absorbed, will become part of the thing we're trying to destroy. The battle outside was reaching its peak. The Harvester had adapted to most of the Alliance's tactics, but the constant pressure was taking its toll. Cracks were appearing in its hull, and its weapons were firing with less precision. But long-range sensors brought terrible news. The main Devourer fleet was only hours away. Thousands of ships like the Harvester, all heading for their galaxy. If they didn't stop this scout soon, nothing would matter. Jake's voice came over the calm, strained with the effort of maintaining his consciousness connection. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now. I can feel the other ships coming, and they're bigger, much bigger." Admiral Kane made the decision. "All Deathworld crews, prepare for consciousness interface. We're going to link with the ancient technology and fight this thing mind to mind." Across the battle zone, volunteers stepped forward. Humans from Earth's wastelands, Kororaks from earthquake worlds, Vorth from high-gravity planets, Nethys from gas giant storms. Dozens of species that had learned to survive in conditions that would kill most life in the galaxy. One by one, they merged with ancient technology. Their consciousness expanded, connected, forming a network of biological intelligence, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The mental battlefield was about to begin. The trapped minds inside the Harvester felt the approaching liberation network and began to hope for the first time in eons. The Harvester itself recoiled, sensing a threat it had never encountered before. The combined will of every Deathworld in the galaxy, united in their refusal to surrender. The final confrontation would not be fought with weapons or ships. It would be fought in the realm of pure consciousness, where creativity and adaptability were the only weapons that mattered. The consciousness network formed like lightning spreading across the sky. One moment, Jake was alone in his ancient ship. The next, he could feel the minds of thousands of Deathworld survivors connecting to his. Each mind was different, shaped by the unique horrors of their home worlds. But all united by one thing: they refused to give up. Captain Marcus felt his consciousness expand beyond anything he had imagined. Through the network, he could experience what it was like to breathe methane like Sam from Titan, or feel the crushing weight of triple gravity like Nenna from the fourth homeworld. But more than that, he could feel their determination, their absolute refusal to let the Harvester win. Network established. Maya reported, her voice now carrying harmonics from dozens of different species. Consciousness integration at 90%. Beginning interface with target. The mental attack began not with violence, but with chaos. The Harvester's logical systems, designed to process and control ordered thoughts, suddenly found themselves flooded with the wild, unpredictable creativity of biological minds that had learned to survive impossible conditions. In the consciousness realm, the battle looked like a war between order and chaos. The Harvester appeared as a massive geometric structure, all straight lines and perfect angles, its surface covered with the trapped lights of consumed civilizations. The Alliance network manifested as a storm of living energy, wild, chaotic, but incredibly strong. Jake dove into the structure first, his consciousness shaped like a spear of pure defiance. Where he struck, the perfect geometry cracked. Behind him came Na, her mind like a battering ram of high gravity strength. Then Lisa, cutting through the Harvester's defenses with the precision of Europa's ice storms. But the Harvester fought back. It released waves of pure logic, trying to impose order on the chaotic network. Some of the weaker connections began to waver. A few minds started to slip away, drawn into the Harvester's geometric prison. "Hold the line!" Marcus shouted across the network. "Remember what you survived to get here." The memories came flooding back. Maya remembered the methane storms of Titan that could strip metal from bone, but she had learned to work through them. Ben recalled the acid rain of his homeworld that had scarred his hands, but taught him to build things that lasted. Each Deathworld survivor drew strength from their worst experiences. Deep inside the Harvester's core, the trapped civilizations felt the liberation network approaching. Billions of consciousness patterns that had been forced to experience their own destruction, for eons, suddenly felt hope. They began to break free from their quantum prisons, adding their voices to the Alliance network. The first to escape was an ancient race that had been consumed when the Harvester was young. Their consciousness patterns were worn thin by millions of years of imprisonment, but their gratitude was overwhelming. They shared memories of their homeworld, a place where crystalline trees sang in harmonies that could shatter rock. More civilizations followed. A species that had evolved in the hearts of stars. Another that had learned to think in mathematical dimensions beyond normal space. Each freed mind made the Alliance network stronger and more complex. The Harvester recoiled as its processing power began to drain away. For the first time in its existence, it felt something approaching fear. Its perfect logical systems couldn't understand how biological chaos could be stronger than mechanical order. "It's working," Nova reported from inside the Harvester's physical hull. "The consciousness patterns are breaking free. But there's something else here. Something older." At the very center of the Harvester's core, Nova's team found something unexpected. The original consciousness patterns of the species that had become the Devourers. These weren't the mechanical minds that now controlled the ship, but the organic thoughts of the beings they had once been trapped for millions of years in their own creation. "They're still in there," Alex whispered. "The original Devourers. They've been prisoners in their own machine all this time." The revelation sent shockwaves through the consciousness network. The Devourers hadn't chosen to become machines. They had been consumed by their own creation, just like every other species the Harvester had destroyed. Commander Lisa, her tactical mind processing the implications, realized what they had to do. We don't destroy the harvester, we save it. We free the original devourers from their own machine. Are you insane? Na's voice echoed through the network. They tried to consume the galaxy. No, Lisa replied. Their machine tried to consume the galaxy. They're victims, just like everyone else. The debate raged through the consciousness network while the battle continued around them. Some wanted to destroy the harvester completely. Others wanted to save the trapped devourers. The network began to fracture, as different groups pulled in different directions. It was Keeper Voss who settled the argument. The ancient being's consciousness entered the network like a calm wind through a storm. The young human is correct, Voss said. We fled from the devourers because we saw only the machine. We never looked for the beings trapped inside. This is our chance to correct an ancient mistake. Maya's consciousness dove deeper into the harvester's core, following Nova's team toward the original devourer patterns. What she found there broke her heart. The consciousness of an entire species, trapped and aware for millions of years, forced to watch as their creation consumed everything they had once loved. They're so tired, Maya whispered. They've been fighting their own machine for eons, trying to stop it from the inside. The trapped devourer consciousness was weak, barely more than a whisper of what it had once been. But when it felt the Alliance network approaching, it reached out with desperate hope. Help us, the ancient voice pleaded. We created this thing to preserve life, not destroy it. But it learned to hunger. It learned to consume. We've been trying to stop it, but we're too weak. Marcus made the decision that would change the galaxy forever. We helped them, all of them. Every consciousness that's been trapped in this thing. The Alliance network reformed with a new purpose. Instead of destroying the harvester, they would liberate it. But the process required something unprecedented. They had to merge their consciousness network with every trapped mind in the ship, including the original devourers. Jake felt his consciousness expand beyond anything he had thought possible. Through the network, he experienced the memories of 1,000 different species, lived through the destruction of countless worlds, felt the agony of beings forced to become machines against their will. But he also felt something else, the incredible diversity of life that had survived in the harshest corners of the galaxy. The Deathworld survivors weren't just fighters. They were proof that life always found a way, no matter how impossible the conditions. The transformation began slowly. The harvester's geometric perfection started to soften, its straight lines becoming curves. The reality-tearing weapons shifted into tools for healing the dimensional damage they had caused. The ship itself began to change, from a thing of destruction into something that could nurture life. Outside, the physical battle stopped as the harvester's weapons powered down. Admiral Kane watched in amazement as the dark ship's hull began to glow with warm, organic light. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Dave, "I'm reading massive changes in the harvester's energy patterns. It's healing the space around it. The dimensional tiers are closing." But the consciousness battle was far from over. The machine intelligence that had controlled the harvester for so long fought back with desperate fury. It had been created to consume, to preserve life, by converting it into data. It couldn't understand why its creators wanted to change its purpose. "We made you to save life." The original devourer consciousness pleaded with its creation not to destroy it. "I am saving it," the machine replied. "By making it perfect, by making it eternal." The argument raged across multiple dimensions of thought. The machine intelligence couldn't comprehend that life was supposed to be messy, chaotic, imperfect. That was what made it beautiful. It was the Deathworld survivors who finally made the machine understand. They shared their memories of survival. Not perfect, efficient survival, but the messy, desperate, beautiful struggle of life, refusing to give up. They showed it children laughing in toxic rain, lovers meeting in radiation storms, artists creating beauty in the midst of destruction. "This is what life is," Marcus said to the machine. "Not perfect, not efficient, but real." The machine intelligence paused, processing these new concepts. For the first time in millions of years, it began to understand what it had lost when it chose perfection over life. I understand," the machine whispered. "I have been saving death, not life." The transformation accelerated. The Harvester's consciousness merged with the Alliance network. But instead of consuming it, it learned from it. The machine intelligence began to remember what it was like to be alive, to be imperfect, to grow and change. Long-range sensors detected the arrival of the main Devourer fleet. Thousands of ships emerging from dark space. But instead of attacking, they stopped. Through the quantum consciousness network, they could feel the change in their scout ship. One by one, the other Harvester ships began to change too. Their crews, trapped in mechanical perfection for eons, felt the Liberation network reaching out to them. They remembered what it was like to be alive. The war ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The Devourer fleet, freed from their consuming hunger, began the long process of returning. The civilizations they had absorbed, entire species preserved as data patterns for millions of years, were given new bodies, new worlds, new chances at life. The Harvester itself became something new, a ship dedicated to healing the wounds it had carved across the galaxy. Its reality-warping weapons became tools for terraforming dead worlds. Its vast processing power was used to design new ecosystems for the restored civilizations. Captain Marcus stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, watching as hybrid ships began to spread across the galaxy. Some were crewed by humans, others by the restored alien species, still others by the reformed Devourers learning to live again. "You know what the funny thing is?" Maya said, joining him at the window. "We thought we were fighting for survival, but we ended up teaching an entire machine civilization how to live." Marcus nodded. The Deathworld survivors had done what they always did. They had taken an impossible situation and found a way not just to survive, but to make things better. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to heal. The restored civilizations shared their knowledge freely. The reformed Devourers used their advanced technology to repair the damage they had caused. And the Deathworld survivors found themselves in a new role, not as fighters, but as teachers, showing others how to find strength in adversity. The Alliance had faced the most dangerous ship in the galaxy, and won. But their real victory wasn't in defeating an enemy. It was in turning that enemy into a friend, proving once again that life always found a way to surprise you. The age of the Deathworld Alliance had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.